Alright guys, if you're looking for a dash camera, you may want to consider the Vantrue Sonnet 1 Pro or the S1 Pro. This is what I have here today, so I'm going to show you exactly how this thing works, how to set it up, all the features that comes with it, and I'm also going to show you a bit of a demo, a video demo later on in the video. Alright, so everything that you may need will come in the box. So of course you're going to have your front camera, the rear camera, the power source, so this is going to be, plugged right into your car's outlet. And the really nice thing is that it does have a USB outlet on the back end here, so it's not going to be hogging up that outlet. And then you have the wire. This is 20 feet long, so plenty of room and slack to connect both the front and rear. And then this thing does have Wi-Fi capability, so you don't need to worry about having to remove it from the car to be able to get the footage and whatnot, or to adjust the settings. But it does come with this data cable, so if you do need to bring it to your computer, you can. And that's one nice thing about it, is that after you mount it, you can actually remove that thing and then take this thing right inside with you and then connect it to your camera. Okay, so there's just one thing that you would need to provide, of course, and that would be the SD card, because it doesn't come with its own SD card, but you just need to get a micro SD. In the manual, it'll tell you exactly which type is needed, and then you would insert it into that slot right there. All right, but setup is pretty simple as far as sticking it to the windshield. You just rip this covering off, and then you can stick it right there with that adhesive. Same idea with the rear camera. And then what's nice is that they even include this tool. So this is basically what you use to get into the liner of the car to hide all the wiring. And you do have the manual. If you prefer to read a booklet, it comes with the instructions to figuring this thing out. I did just want to also demonstrate the angles that you can adjust with these cameras. So this one does go, a little all the way around, but the range isn't that great. So if you have, say, a very flat vertical windshield, this may not be the best choice for you, because it's just going to end up recording the dash. But with that said, the rear camera, totally different story. This thing goes all the way around 360. So this may be good if you're an Uber driver looking for a product that you can both have a dash cam recording out front and the interior of the car. You can stick this right on your front windshield, just turn it towards the interior instead, and then you can record the interior of your car for safety reasons. So the one thing I want to point out about this camera is that it does have the STARVIS 2, so if that's something you're looking for in a dash cam, this comes with it. If you're not familiar with that, that's basically the latest image censoring technology that will make this work well in low light conditions, and also when there's a bit of contrast where there's bright light and dark areas in the shot, you will still see everything clearly, so nothing will get blown out. And it also does lead to less motion blur and less grainy images. All right, but let's take a look at the onboard features. All right, so as I mentioned, you can just hook this up to the computer. So that's actually how I'm getting this to be powered on right now. Of course, you have the up and down buttons for navigating the menus. On the left here, that's basically to start and stop the recording. So when you press that, and then you'll see that red blinking light, meaning it's recording, and then you can stop it right away by doing that. That's also acts as the OK button, as you can see here, if you're in the menus or something like that. At the top there, by default, that's just going to switch the angles, or rather the camera that's showing on the screen. And then at the bottom there, you can switch off the mic. So this does also record audio if that's important to you, but you can turn that on and off using that button. And then of course on the right, the 3 lines, that's going to be your main menu button. So there's going to be 3 main choices in the menu: record setup, system setup, and then files, where you're going to see all your files. Pretty self-explanatory. And then you can change the recording setup here. So you can change resolution, for example, and then loop recording. So I have mine set for every 5 minutes. So for example, every 5 minutes, it will start a new recording. And then once the storage has been used up, it'll delete the oldest 5-minute file. Then you can adjust audio recordings here by turning it on and off, noise reduction, and various other features like exposure, if you're needing to adjust how bright things are for both front and back, and then various other features like HDR, you can turn on and off. You can even rotate the display if you want. And then system setup is more your generic settings. So you can change the language, the Wi-Fi settings. Voice control is pretty cool. This is probably the most important aspect of these settings here, because you can control this thing just by saying these things here. So like take photo, video start, turn on audio. And I'll show you that in a bit here once we get in the car and install this thing. By the way, that big button in the middle just lets you know if it's recording or not as well. So if it's steady green light, it's not recording. If it's flashing, it is recording. But while it's recording, that's basically kind of like your emergency button. So if something's happening on the road that you want to capture, you press that button, it'll take a photo, and it will also save the video in a special file that you can access right away. But that's basically it. So let's go ahead and get this thing installed and show you some footage to show you the image quality. All right, so let's take a look at some of the voice control commands that you can use with this thing. Video start. Take photo. Lock video. Turn off Wi-Fi. Turn on Wi-Fi. Turn off screen. Turn on screen. Show back camera. Show both cameras. Show front camera. Alright guys, so I just also want to show you the app. So when you first open it up, you'll see you get a kind of a preview. You'll see exactly what it's recording at the moment there at the top. And you can even switch it to go to full screen mode like that. And then as you might expect on the bottom, you'll see this big red button to be able to go ahead and record. So you click that and it'll stop recording or start recording. Above that, you'll see the audio. You can turn that right on and off there. You can take a photo immediately just by pressing that left button there. And then on the right, you can switch the camera that you want to be previewing. And then probably most importantly, probably the main reason you'd want to use the app is for, just being able to download these files. So if you click into there, all your files are going to be stored first in the SD card folder. Choose the appropriate video. And then right at the bottom there, at the bottom right, you'll see the down arrow indicating that you can download it. And then right after you download it, it's going to go into the mobile local folder. Click on the video again and click sync at the bottom. And it's going to go right into your actual phone's photos folder. And then finally back on the home screen, if you click at the top right there, that'll take you to the settings. And essentially these are all the settings that we saw on the unit itself. So both the recording settings and the system settings, you can adjust right from your phone. So that's pretty handy. All right, time for a little test drive. All right, so here's some sample footage with the front camera on the left there and the rear camera on the right. And as you can see, especially with the front camera, great amount of detail, especially if you pause the video. You'll be able to clearly read the signs. On the right there, just ignore that blurry line. That's just poor placement on my part, so make sure you don't make that same mistake of positioning that rear camera right on a defrosting line in the back windshield. But check out the front camera there. That's just a great example of that high dynamic range. Even with that sun blaring down, you can still see great detail in the foreground and the midground, so nothing's getting blown out. And then here's an example of the nighttime shot. So on this particular road, there are no street lights at all. It's just the light from the headlights. And even with that, you can see the sky clearly. You can see the foreground, details on the left and right. You can read road signs. So just a great example, again, of that high dynamic range and also the low light capability. All right, I hope that helps you make a decision on whether it's going to be right for you today. But for a front and rear camera, you really can't go wrong with this, even if this may be your first one. So definitely check this thing out today.